to Subtext Discourse, a podcast which takes you behind the scenes of the art world with the unique individuals involved in the field. I'm your host, Michael Dooney, co-founder and director of independent contemporary art space, Jarvis Dooney. I hope everyone's going well as the quarantine is gradually being lifted. Here in Berlin, schools and businesses are slowly reopening as life attempts to return to normal. Today on the podcast, I'm speaking with reluctant musician and independent filmmaker Joséphine Demerliac, who recently completed her first feature-length production, Le Soleil Brûle, which she wrote, directed, and also starred in. The trailer was released only a few days ago, and I've linked to it in the show notes, together with her previous short films and early video clips. We talk about her journey as an artist, the added challenges facing women in the industry, and the importance of staying true to yourself. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy my conversation with Joséphine Demerliac.
I was in high school, and it was the year of my baccalaureate. Yes, my vocation, I don't know how to call it, for film has come from music. So I was playing a lot music, actually. Piano and singing. Jazz, classic. It was my dream, basically, to become a professional pianist. But it kind of evolved through time. And yeah, the first sort of milestone in terms of staging was probably this musical that I did. So it was at the City Theatre, beautiful theatre. We had such a luck that we could do something there.
And this was in Burgundy or in Paris?
Yes, exactly, in Burgundy. And there were around 30 participants. And so parallel to my studies, we did this musical. It was quite fun. I saw there is a video of it somewhere. Yeah, I was happy to see it in a way, but also kind of, okay, yes.
Yeah.
I think things have evolved in the way I do stuff, but for sure, it was clear that I had a strong passion to join forces, to make something with different talents.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, I like to collaborate with different people.
Exactly. That is something. So the staging, to think about the storytelling, to think of all those things. Though I'm a bit more of a big picture person, I like to think about all those different things, and then to work with people who are specializing in whatever they are doing, and to do the casting, to try to work with the best people I know, and things like that, to research. That is something that I love doing. But it's when I realize I love to also push people to create something together and to also highlight what they are capable to do.
Yeah.
And amid maybe something that is bigger than us. I don't know if I explain it well, but
and I think
yes.
It's come up in a few other conversations I've had with other artists, that when you have more than one person contributing, what you can come up with together is bigger than what you would have come up with on your own.
On your own. Yeah, I love to do that, I think. We say in French to have the belly bigger than the eyes, and I guess I'm a bit like that.
And so it was part of the university. Was that what preempted you going to Berlin? Or was it always in your mind, I want to go to Berlin?
Oh, never.
No, never? Yeah?
Not at all. So, yeah, I was studying and I was really bad at German. I had studied German for 8 years or more. And I was like, oh, damn. I can't say nothing. I'm really bad. I don't understand a word. I can't say nothing. It makes no sense. I've studied it for 8 years. Damn. And so there were those Erasmus programs, which my sister had done also this thing, and she recommended it to me. But yes, I thought maybe it's good to go to Germany then. But it was super random. I didn't even investigate. I didn't know shit about Berlin. I didn't know it was a cool place at the time. I just thought, anyway, you never know until you're there. So whatever, I'm lazy, I won't do research, I will just choose one place, whatever that is. Yes, when I came to Berlin, it was funny because I had no knowledge whatsoever. I arrived at not Ostbahnhofs, Ostkreuz, because I had booked like a Jugendherberge, like youth hostel, before to find a place. And there it was really no man's land because there were, you remember, like building. It looked like really random. And it was raining a lot. There were nobody. It was night. And I only met like very trashy, punk, super wild and with a big dog and very uncanny and wild look. And I was thinking, oh damn, where am I? Also, prior to that, the Flugzeug, the plane.
Yeah, the plane.
The plane had lost my luggage with everything, like my whole life in my luggage was lost. And I go to Ostkreuz and it's like no man's land. And I come to the Jugendherberge and I ask the guy, like, is there places I shouldn't go to? And the guy, he just like laughed so hard. And it was so funny because actually, yeah, Berlin is quite safe in the end. And you have less light than in Paris and things like that, but it's pretty chill out. So it was quite funny.
And that was 7 years ago then, or 2013?
Yeah, even, I guess 13 years. Should be that, yes, I think you're right.
And had you finished the economic studies then?
So basically...
I know you were here for Erasmus.
Yes, for Erasmus. So I did a master at the Freie Universität, and then I came back to Sorbonne to finish the master.
So why did you decide to stay in Berlin and not go back to Paris or to go anywhere in France?
Well, I really enjoyed. I didn't feel so at home in Paris at all, actually. And Berlin, I could totally imagine myself. Maybe it's also at first also the stimulation when people don't understand your language. And also the nice thing is that when you don't feel very much at home where you live and you feel a bit of a misplaced person, then you better be really a misplaced. You know, like it's a normal thing to be misplaced or to be like kind of a weirdo in this context because you are actually an outsider. So in a way, it's reassuring, it's stimulating, and you know it's for the good reasons. So in that sense, maybe that's why. And also to be very much autonomous, to be alone in this context. I don't have my family. I don't have some ties. So you can really get back to what you want to do, whom you want to be. And yes, I think it's in a way freeing to be abroad. It can be also a lot of constraints, a lot of difficulties. But on that side, whatever you are doing, it's because of you. It's because of yourself and what you want to achieve and things like that. So if you fail, well, your thing. Whatever fail or success means, but I just mean that it's a bit more your own ship. In that way, I liked this idea.
Yeah.
But for you also.
No, definitely. It's a little bit that novelty of being the different person.
Yeah.
That's how you're identified. Whereas if you're in amongst your own people, then you're just another person that's also from the same place.
That is true. But this exotism can be good and bad.
Yeah, it goes in both directions. But I think even maybe when you're trying to work out who you are or what your identity is, sometimes having that out of cultural experience where you're separate from everything. Yeah,
you're like the actor of your own story more. But it's funny, I wrote I did an online magazine, Slough magazine, like 2 years ago, like for a year. And so the idea was to write freely about some things. And I wrote a text about like identity. And I find it funny also this idea of exotism. Exotism can be you can feel it in a different family or in a different town, or it doesn't need to be, you need to live very far away from your home to feel this idea of exotism. But what I find interesting is that very soon you're put into boxes.
Yeah.
And that is cool in a way. It can be great. Sometimes it eases a lot of things. And sometimes it's also harder than to get back to your own identity because people have a certain view. Well, anyway, nobody can know you and you don't know yourself either, so ever really thoroughly. But still, the more you have like differentiators, the more you will put be put in a box in a way. And so that can be sometimes difficult. I think it's also something that kind of appears in my last movie. Not very directly. It's funny because I did a music video that were more engaged. So La Bombe was very much more engaged.
Yeah.
And in this last movie that I made, it's much less about a clear statement, but it still evokes some feelings of misplacement, things like that. So of identity and this idea of being exotic and what it can bring. You feel it's at the same time, how to say, it can be a barrier. So people don't really break these boxes and just can't get through you. And so it can be a bit dehumanizing. Dehumanizing. Oh my God. Dehumanizing.
Okay, well, we said, because you said about your upcoming film and your previous film,
yes.
I went to your YouTube channel and to your Vimeo and I went through everything from the beginning. So the first things you uploaded were from 2013, which is when you came to Berlin. Is that when you started or when you felt like you had the time to really start producing your own output in terms of videos and productions?
I think it was 2012 when I did my first music video that was sort of not official, but we shot with Red camera. It was like big equipment, big production can use nowadays. And that was in 2012. I was fairly young then.
But okay, before that point, then it was more experimentation.
I guess so.
You didn't have a clear direction?
Plan. No, I didn't have a plan. But also because at first I wanted to be a musician. Directing wasn't necessarily a target. It came naturally. So I started by doing music, playing a lot. And then I was thinking, let's do a music video for that.
So the films were like a side effect of how to promote your music.
Yes, in a way. And always when I was playing, I had maybe some visual ideas. And so it evolved in that way.
So were you recording your music a lot before?
I think I liked a lot of self-confidence in music, much more than in directing, weirdly. Because I worked much more, had like much more passion towards it.
But to music.
Yeah, but then I think sometimes that's my problem. As soon as I get too passionate, then it kind of is a big flop. And not that I was necessarily failing. I think I had my journey in this, but I don't consider myself as a musician just because maybe I sacralize it too much. I have no fucking clue.
You have what?
Sacraliser, to sanctify, or like to make it like sacred.
Yeah, your expectations of yourself are so high that you think to be a musician you need to have achieved this.
Yes,
I can't get to that point, therefore I'm not a musician.
Exactly.
Although you do play the piano, and do you compose? Like, because a lot of your video clips and films, you do a lot of the music.
Yes, in some I do. I did. Sometimes I worked with some people. Sometimes I just did my something or recorded myself at home. It all depends. I think the problem also with music is I think I have like sort of a vibe for it, very much so. But then I got lazy as well. To be true. Because even the other day, although I play very little, I played and I got to know my neighbor. And he was like, "Oh, you have a piano?" I was like, "Oh yeah, if it gets too loud, really feel free to let me know." And he was like, No, it's so cool. And he asked me a question. I was like, oh my God, I will kiss him. He asked me like, which composer is that? Yeah.
You were playing your own music?
Yes. Yeah, okay. I mean, not even my own music, because at the moment I'm not even structured enough to say my own music. I'm just like improvising or doing some stuff. And he asked me that. So I was like, oh man. That was quite funny. But yeah, no, I don't consider me as a musician. And that's why I like to work with musicians, because they have much more structure around that and to be complementary. But the good thing is, I love music, really. It's visceral. And so I really like to work with interesting folks, and I have this understanding. So when I do film, I sort of have a strong understanding of the creative process.
Yeah.
So I know sometimes it just you don't get birth to the thing that you were supposed to get birth to. And so there are a lot of moments that are really difficult in the creative process, where sometimes you just do 3 things and it works magically, and sometimes it's just very laborious. But when you are doing a film, no matter if you get to it or not, you need to produce, because it's a collective work. And so if there is a blockage, well, you still need to go further. So you need to be resourceful and find ways to find a solution and make something that resonates.
Because the musicians you work with in your videos are amazing.
Thank you.
Some of the, I think, like the cellists and the other guitarists. And
yes.
They're really good.
Yes, I know which one you mean. Oh, so that was later on, and we just met up for one song. In music, I'm really good at improvising, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how good or bad or whatever, it's easy for me to just sing along, for example.
Yeah, because you sing on a lot of your things. And that's what I also noticed. You're in front of the camera as much as you're behind the camera.
I know. I know that sometimes people find it a bit unharming. I know, not this word. Kind of weird, or maybe I had a lot of not a lot, but some criticism. That
oh, really? Why? Or what kind of criticism?
Maybe because it feels a bit narcissistic. But I find anyway, art is very much narcissistic as a whole, whatever you're doing. So when I'm writing a story, it's also very narcissistic in a way, because it's this thing of creation. Creation is the gut feeling, and it's all about you, basically. And if you're not making it all about you, then it might not be sincere as well. Yeah,
if you want it to feel authentic.
Yeah, I think it's important to put a lot of yourself into what you're making, and it doesn't matter what you are doing.
Because you go by Joséphine, but also Zoo.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Is Zoo your alter ego, or is it an alias that you use for your art? Yeah. How do you see that character?
Well, I think at the beginning I had another name also before, but that kind of turned out to be a bit ridiculous, so I changed.
Why? What was it?
Jojo Bulle. It's a bit very girly, and it doesn't work so much anymore. But always I like to have a pseudonym, because you kind of hide behind your pseudonym in a way. So you feel more free in whatever you're doing. Also, Joséphine Demerliac is my name, but it's a stamp that was put onto myself. So choosing a pseudonym is also, in a way, more your thing, more the identity you want to create for yourself. And it's protecting yourself a lot. So, you're more free. So for example, I work also in a company, and I got already now some moments of almost harassment situation. And that is not helping. Moreover, if you like to work on certain film, well, as soon as you put your image on screen, it's complicated, moreover for women. And if you touch to sexuality, male, female, so gender, all those thematics that are close to my heart are even more at risk in a way. So, and if you want to be free, and well, it's good also to sort of dissociate both things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in a professional sense sometimes.
Yes.
I mean, I've probably not the same as you, but I've had definitely experiences where when people find out, oh, you're doing this in your spare time. Oh, okay. How's that going to reflect on the company?
Yeah, and you're like, none of your business, right?
Exactly, yeah, it shouldn't matter. It's like if I play sport on the weekend, I'm sure you don't care. But if you're putting your image out there into the public and you're projecting a certain persona, or you're presenting a message.
It's good to dissociate. And it's scary, and it's also sometimes you think, oh, it's virtual. But virtual has an impact on your psyche and your feelings and all those things. And even if you have the right distance and everything, it has an impact. And if I don't want to waste my energy on stupid comments or whatever, then maybe there are easy ways to just like separate. So I think that's why also at the beginning it was the idea of it's my project, what I'm making. It's not necessarily who I am, but what I am building. So that's also, it's like a startup. Some startups, they don't necessarily have the name of their founder because it's what they are making. And in that sense, I think also as an artist, it's not necessarily who you are, but more what you want to create, what you want to do, what is your message.
I guess you're the face of the brand.
Yes.
But you are not the brand itself.
No, it's what you're doing, yeah. But it's true, it's weird because in the arts, it's very confusing. It's very much about who you are and
definitely.
as a person.
I mean, I don't know if it's always been that way, but certainly for quite a while, it's becoming more important sometimes who makes the art, not what the art that they're making is.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh no, but who made this?
Yeah.
And that changes the meaning of it. There's an artist that we worked with, David Collins. He was telling me once that the feedback that he got to the images, they thought that a female had made them. And then when he said, oh, no, I made the images, they're like, oh, but hold on, you're a man. So, yes. And it changed it for they're like, oh, actually, no, well, that changes everything then.
Yes.
And it wasn't just about the work. It was about the person that had created the work. But it's been difficult for you then with like feedback from different people, or it's been okay?
Well, there were some moments not so nice. So those almost harassing situations. For instance, there is one guy who like stalked me online basically and had like a lot of juice because of my films. Although I didn't know the man, I started to make some sexual remarks and like telling me about a lot of things about what I did in the past, who I am. So it got me a little bit scared.
Oh, I'm really sorry.
That wasn't the only time. But then I went to my boss and he said, well, no wonder, knowing what you have online. And I was what the fuck is that? So I just decided maybe it's easier to split even stronger. So basically this first intent that I probably didn't know would be useful was actually quite useful to really separate both. I think it's nice. And I think, for women or whatever gender.
No, I think you're very right. I think definitely women have it's
a bit more complicated.
It is much more complicated.
Yeah,
I think we've only really learned, both my wife and I, we've not really come across that with a lot of people. And it's only been in the last couple of years. And you realize, wow, we've been lucky to not encounter this up until now. And you think this must happen to other people all the time.
It depends. Of course, it's not like all the time, but it can happen often enough to put yourself down.
But you have to have it in your thoughts that this is something that could potentially happen.
Exactly.
Whereas I suppose as a man, it doesn't even cross your mind. You don't think, oh, somebody might interpret this the wrong way.
Yes, exactly. You're much more free. And it's important to keep this freedom, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, freedom, there is freedom and freedom, but in the things that you want to reach. For example, I'm someone that I try to reflect a lot on what I want to say with whatever I am creating. And it's not necessarily always politically engaged, but still by little details, it has to be in a way or another. And I think that artists have a responsibility as artists because artists are influencing very much. And so it's important to give material to reflect. So it doesn't need to be necessarily politically correct, but still tackle the issues in the right way.
Have you had to censor yourself? Or have you had moments where you thought, maybe I should do it this way instead of that way?
There are moments, yes. For instance, in my film, my last film, so it's a feature-length movie, fictional, and so I wrote the scripts, but how I like to make movies is also to incorporate a lot of improvisation. And so on set, it was very collaborative. Yeah, I think it's organic, a film, no matter how you do it. And so I don't believe in the tyrannic way of directing. But it's true, like there are lots of directors who are like, I want it like that and it has to be like that. But you will never have it like that because it's in your thoughts and the reality is always different. And so I like also... Well, direct Rekler is also very much on this idea of incidents. And I believe also very much in the idea of not necessarily incidents, but aléatoire. what is the when it's random,
Yes,
when something can be created from random things. So it's a mix in my head. It's also like a message, something that is random, and it's a bit of a mix of all those things. But so on the set, it was very much collaborative, and there were a moment when I was pushed to do something that I would never have written. And when I was doing it, I was a bit like, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm the editor, so whatever happens afterwards, I can delete or continue. But then it turned out that I kept part of this moment in the film because even though it was against some of my beliefs and thoughts, I found it interesting and part of life though. So I like, for example, in the movie, nobody has makeup on, maybe me or some female characters, but not too much, male characters either. So it's very much like equal in a way. And the main character, for me, it was important that it was a bit of a normcore character, and she's so a female character, but she's not too beautiful, not too not beautiful, not too successful, not too very much regular person. A sort of character that you can see very often in male roles, the anti-hero sort of character. But for women, it's changing. But usually when it's a anti-hero, then she will be very big, or it's still gonna be
it's some
an extreme. Yes.
Yeah.
And that I didn't want. I wanted to have something a bit more subtle. So nothing special about her, basically. So that also a man or a woman could also identify to that character in a way. Sort of character that is also a bit invisible, actually. We just live through her experiences, but it's not too much about her. So that was my idea, and that we managed very much. And there is this scene where it's very much sexy. And so everybody was like, be more sexy because I'm playing in it also. And I was like, no, I don't feel like it at all. And also in the back of my brain, I was like, what the fight? Oh, I'm fighting again. What are they doing to me? But I let it go, even though, because I still think the power of collaboration and risking things. And even if it brings me to places I don't want to go. In the end, it's a very short sequence. It's not like a huge thing, but it's also interesting because in the end, it showcases this aspect of her. And we're not only plain, and sometimes we are sexy and sometimes we are really not sexy. And so it also brings back a sort of equilibrium and balance in this character, which isn't too bad. So yes, sometimes I go places that at first I wasn't really for, but it's nothing crazy. It's not like I will never do something that is totally against my beliefs. It's just something that evolves or makes me evolve in the way I think and the way I conceptualize the work. Or because there is also it's complicated. A film can be written in very different ways and can be understood in many different ways. So it's not like a truth. You can still see if it vehicles wrong ideas or not.
Well, I was thinking that when I was watching it yesterday, because there were some of the scenes, and you can even see with your expression and with the other people's expressions as well, you can really feel what they're going through.
Yeah.
If you've been pushed into an uncomfortable situation, then you're going to react the way that you would react if that was actually happening.
Sure.
And if you got the rest of the crew going, yeah, come on, this is good, perfect. But how is that then for you and everybody else?
Yeah.
I mean, you're the main protagonist in the film, so it's mostly you and then a few other people, but still feeling that pressure.
Yeah.
That would have been really tough.
Well, actually, I enjoyed it a lot. Like the whole thing, I embraced it. The whole journey. Of course, there were moments of difficulties for a lot of reasons. Also because I'm learning by doing always. So there are moments of insecurity.
But you must have known before you were filming it that was a scene.
To do. Yes. As I said, it's very organic. So I have a plan, and then maybe on set, it kind of evolved.
Okay.
So we have a goal, but then we try out things around that scene or idea.
Would you say that your feature length is the result of what you've been working towards? I don't know if I want to call them gender identities, but you do certainly play with male-female exchange and dominance and submission. A lot of the other videos were to accompany music. When you went then to La Bombe, was that the first step towards fiction or towards a narrative, like a story?
I think I love narration. I really wanted to do a feature length because you have more time to go through the psyche of the characters and you can more develop a story. As soon as you have a shorter format, it's much more difficult.
Because La Bombe was your longest up until now. So all the other ones were 2 or 3 minutes. Some of them were shorter. La Bombe was 6 or 7 minutes.
Yes.
And your feature is a feature. It's 90 minutes long, isn't it?
90. Yeah. Yeah, in a way, it's getting longer and longer.
No, it is. It's really, you've skipped like the middle part. You haven't made a short film or anything like that. Yes, a medium.
That's true, yeah. Why I didn't do in between? I don't know. I just wanted to do a feature. Yes, because I find either you have time to get through the psyche of the characters, or you don't, and it's more of an art thing, like more of an experiment.
Yeah, because that's what I felt when I was watching them. I didn't know before I went through from beginning to end, not just the film, but everything that you've uploaded. I didn't know if I was going to be watching video art, like for want of a better word, or video clips or short movies. And it's kind of touches on each of them a little bit, but you wouldn't say, okay, this is an art film that's going to go into a specific box.
Yeah.
Like, what is it for you that's your
main thing?
Yeah, what do you want the viewer to take from it?
Well, that's the thing. I probably also because I'm exploring. I'm not yet sure which path, and you need to work hard. Like, I worked very hard. Even on the edit, I never edited such a long film before. But it was a great learning. It's for me, it was also a way to learn. I really wanted to do that because I'm a very romantic person and I like poetry, so it's more like my arty side, but I am really romantic and I like when I watch movies or whatever, I come from a arty family, but I also like to watch things that work. I like narratives, whatever that is. A photograph can be a narrative, so it doesn't need to be a succession of a film, but I want to do something that is entertaining, where everybody can watch. In the end, I think what I do is still very indie.
Yeah.
Because I realize actually the things that I think are super easy and that are maybe not that easy and mass, but still I want to do something super entertaining that's the most people could watch. And that's also what I want to do. But yet I do things that are sometimes very much free and experimental, and I don't care what is marketing, what works well at the moment or not, what people want to watch or not. But I believe in art that people can connect with, even though it's not their sauce at the moment.
I know. Sauce or juice. No, I know what you mean. So how much have you got to go then with your film? You're still editing or you're still...
It's almost done. But then there are like things around it. Subtitling is almost done, making of trailers, things like that. And then to apply to festivals, very unknown field for me, even though I know a bit the process with festivals because La Bombe was at the Berlin Music Video Awards.
Yeah, how was the reception actually to that?
Yeah, it was great actually. It was really nice. I was super happy and lucky, and it's super interesting because it was very feminist video. But the funny thing is, the people who supported this video are the opposite of not the opposite of feminists. I'm saying bullshit. But still, like the feminist associations that we send it to, like all the organizations that support women and blah, they didn't want to help or to screen it or do. Although some of them said, "Oh yeah, great."
But they didn't want to have any involvement with it.
Because I think it's very, how to say, like very little networks not necessarily super open to newcomers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
May you have a pussy or not. So, yeah, I think it's, as everywhere, very close. And also the thing is, the film, it's not perfect. I admit this video isn't perfect at all, but I think it still transmits what I wanted to transmit. And this thing that I wanted to transmit is sort of, so you have provocation. It's really interesting because I did this video because I was fed up of all those very misogynist music videos that are seen as very provocative, but actually you've seen it many times over and over again as a big repetition since years, since decades. And it's not anymore provocation, but you feel like it's a provocation because you're going further into the perversion. It's really interesting because you have a model that you think is new and original, but actually it's just the repetition of the same social and cultural pattern. And this video, in a way, is a bit going against that. So basically, yes, the man is being raped, but the difference between this bit of video and videos that we saw at the time where you had also this role reversal is that in this case, it's not funny. It's not ironic.
Yeah.
It's very much sincere and serious.
Yeah, it's really serious. And
Yes.
I think when you watch it as well, because it's so unexpected,
Yes.
it really hits you when you're watching it. You're like, whoa, that's heavy.
Exactly. It's heavy. And that's the originality of it. Even though it's very subtle, this originality, because it's very fine and very silent in a way. But this is too much. And I think for a lot of people, this is too much. And they didn't want to take the risk to share it. Moreover, from someone that is unknown. So, no. Because it's a bit provocative, but really, even though if it's done silently.
Yeah, I think no more than what we see as regular music clips anyway. Like some of them are really quite
trashy.
graphic.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's graphic, but it's in the role reversal that makes it a bit like, too risky, I think.
Yeah, I suppose I'd never really, what's the word I'm looking for? I'd not really deconstructed it in that way, thinking, okay, how different is this if it was the other way around, what we're used to seeing anyway? I guess that narrative isn't ever presented. So when you do see it, it is quite confronting.
Yes.
But I think it's kind of surprising that none of the feminist groups or the pro-women groups
at all
that you approached said,
not even a share, not even a like, nothing. Really, it's crazy because even though it's not perfect, and I admit it, still, it's going in the same direction to try to think about those things and to try to deconstruct, to understand better. And all the discussion I had with a lot of people, male or female, it was mostly male also, who was always super interesting because they were, I didn't see it in that way. It's true that it was moving me or something. So even though it's not a perfect clip, I think that people could relate to it and understand the idea behind it. So yeah, but then Berlin Music Video Awards, they selected it, which was super cool. I'm super happy and super grateful they did. And I think, but why I said the opposite, it's not the opposite because they are also very much inclusive when it's about gender, and I think they want to talk about those issues, but it's also very, you see they're also very trashy, misogynist things because they are so open. And so when you are open, you also, as a sponge, get what exists, and what exists is very, very much like for 90% of what there is online is very strongly misogynist, but the quality of the production is great, and so then you will see them in those kind of festivals. But it was funny for us because we're super happy we had this chance, and it was the best experience to have this film in such cleavaging. I don't know.
I guess in that kind of forum, really.
Yes,
an award ceremony,
or like something that is splitting or You saw the opposites there.
Yes. It's divisive.
Exactly.
Splitting audiences.
Exactly. And that was great. That was super nice. And we had like a talk on stage and blah.
Cool.
So yeah, that was great because we could also express our point of view. For once, you can be sort of heard on things that you feel not really at ease with. And so it's nice to have the possibility to express that.
So how was the response at the festival? Or when you had this panel, what kind of questions were you getting from the audience?
Well, when you're doing a music video, it's also to get visibility for the band, things like that. So you have also a lot of money-making strategies that are not necessarily always very social-minded. And so I think it was also the thematic of this speak to talk also about it, to have a bit of distance with what we are consuming every day. And so they are also playing with your weaknesses, basically the weaknesses of the society, and misogyny sells, or it's the belief we have. I think other things can sell.
Yeah.
I don't think you need necessarily to show tits to sell, but this is very much deeply in our minds that many people think that. But it also does the contra effects. So I won't buy.
Yeah, exactly.
I think more and more women are a bit like disgusted by such politics. I think we need to reinvent the spectrum and have something that is more inclusive and more respectful. And you can do something provocative. I think also, like, when you really do something provocative, then maybe it shouldn't work.
Oh, it shouldn't work?
I think so, because if it works so well, then maybe it's not that provocative, you know? Maybe already everybody agrees on that, or everybody, you know, it's already something that has been eaten several times. Because when you think about lots of great innovators, Galilei, or they were murdered. They were not like
they weren't celebrated.
Successful. No, they were not successful, and yet they were great minds and helped us as a society to evolve to the better. So I think success is very relative, but it's important to be faithful to your beliefs.
I hope you enjoyed the insights to Joséphine's creative process and her experiences putting her work out there. You can watch the trailer for her debut feature, Le Soleil Brûle, on her Vimeo account, which I've linked to in the description, together with the other topics we spoke about and related social media. If you haven't already, please subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or your favourite streaming platform of choice. And feel free to get in touch about this or previous episodes if you wish to know more or just say hello. Thanks for tuning in. New episodes released every second Monday. Until then, stay healthy and take care. My name's Michael Dooney, and you've been listening to Subtext and Discourse.